Hello, everybody. This is Kathy Grace, the co-director of the Graduate Center of the Study of Learning. And I'm going to start that over again because I messed up who I work for. Okay, here we go again. Hello, everybody. This is Kathy Grace. I'm the co-director of the Graduate Center for the Study of Early Learning. And you are a part of our conversation today that we're going to have with Dr. Chad Allgood. He is the director of the Division of Early Childhood Care and Development at the Department of Human Services. Thank you, Dr. Allgood, for having a time to talk with us today.
Thank you so much for having me here and giving me this opportunity.
Well, could you tell us a little bit about how you chose to work with young children, your history, how you ended up in this chair? I imagine it was a journey that had some interesting turns and curves.
Gosh, so it was an accident, to be honest. I way back when I was in college, I was looking for a part-time job, and I happened upon the opportunity to work part-time with a preschool class. So I walked into a room of 12 3-year-olds, and they all looked it up at me. And I always say, they say bees and dogs can smell fear. I think 3-year-olds can too. So I walked in, I wasn't really sure, how to go about doing anything, with young children. And as a matter of fact, when I told my mom that I had gotten a job at a preschool, she started laughing because I had never really, done much with young children up until that point. But I fell right into it, and I fell in love with the field and with the work. And 20 years later, here I am.
Well, from being a real, true early childhood teacher, I'm sure that that's come into play many times and helped you a lot as you were faced with some decisions that you're making and that you have made. I think sometimes people don't understand that teaching young children is not for the faint of heart.
No, absolutely not. Young children, it can be very challenging at times, but I can truly say there's nothing more rewarding than working with children. And that moment, that when that spark, when they learn something new, or with young children, everything is an adventure. Even walking outside is an adventure, and getting to participate in that is such a blessing. And like I said, I never really intended, when I was in college, and even graduating from college, I wasn't really sure what my path was going to be. But just, as I've gone through different stages of my career, I've just I have kept coming back to the early childhood field. And, I do believe there's so much value in what anybody that works in early childhood at any level does.
Well, you have quite a busy task ahead of you. And would you tell us just a little bit about what your office does?
So the Division of Early Childhood Care and Development, we are part of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, and we are tasked with a few different pieces. We are the lead agency that receives the Child Care Development Fund dollars, which are used to fund child care subsidies. We call them certificates, or you could call them vouchers. It's child care assistance for families that qualify. So that's a huge part of what we do. Along with that, we partner with child care providers across the state to offer services to children with young families. And so along with that, we also take a lead in ensuring that child care providers have access to resources, they have access to professional development. And when I say professional development, I'm talking about training, I'm talking about on-site technical assistance in a variety of different areas, whether it is early childhood development, child development, early childhood education, curriculum development, family engagement. We also work with directors on the business, the leadership side of early childhood. And then we also fund the resource and referral sites across the state. And anyone that visits one of these resource and referral sites is going to see each of the sites houses a multitude of early childhood resources, um, um, learning toys, and for every age, infant through after school, as well as special needs. At the resource and referral sites, parents can get referrals to child care programs and to other services. So all of this kind of encompasses that support for early childhood quality. And then in addition, we also have a home visiting program where we work with mothers prenatally up to children 3 years of age. And part of that program, any of the families that are in that program, they immediately are fast tracked into child care subsidy assistance. So these are all kind of the pieces that encompass what we do. And then more recently, we were given a very large amount of funding from the federal government through the American Rescue Plan, and the funding, and it's been in different funding streams, but it's all relief money that is designed to help support child care programs and support families that have young children during the pandemic.
Whew, that's a mouthful. In regard to the new funding that you referenced, how will that, in the short term and the long term, impact the early care and education system in Mississippi? And I know you don't know exactly what 5 years is going to look like from here, but short term changes, or are there going to be noticeable changes to the public that it would be important to note?
So in the short term, we have funding that it began with the CARES Act funding. We received, I believe it was a little over around $48 million. I can't remember exactly. We immediately started funneling that money into child care programs in the form of financial support. And in the immediate, the funding that we've got, we're using it in a variety of different ways to try to help child care providers that maybe experiencing low enrollment, dealing with making enhancements to their programs to combat the COVID-19 virus, just that immediate support. It's crucial right now that we all be working to support child care providers during this time. The child care industry is delicate in that child care providers don't have wide profit margins. Child care is very expensive to run, and they often, they charge just enough to keep their operations going, but that's usually it. And then you throw something like a pandemic in the mix, and it can very quickly have a very huge negative impact on the industry. So in the immediate, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work to give child care providers financial support, but also some financial relief for families. We began that with the CARES Act funding. We're continuing it with a second stream of funding, which was the CRSA funding. It's the Coronavirus Response Something Act. I can't remember all the words. And then finally, with the American Rescue Plan, we're gearing up to begin issuing stabilization grants, which are going to be fairly large amounts of money that we're going to be funneling into the child care industry. And it is designed to do just what it says. It is to stabilize the child care industry during this time. So to offer some financial relief to child care providers, but then also to families as well. In the long term, in addition to the stabilization funds, we also received an increase in our discretionary money, which we can use for subsidy dollars, we can use for quality improvement. As a matter of fact, the federal government requires us to earmark a certain percentage of our discretionary money toward quality improvement. It can't go for anything else. Because we've received this additional funding, we're also looking at our existing quality system, where it works well, where it doesn't work so well, and making some improvements. And in terms of quality, we know what the research says are predictors of quality. When you think about professional development, curriculum, the learning environment, teacher and caregiver engagement, and interaction with children, workforce stability, family engagement support. We know all of these are elements of what predicts quality. The question is, how do we implement these elements into our early childhood system in a way that is doable and that is sustainable? And that's the question. And because we have this investment, and this may be a one-time thing, we don't know, if early childhood is going to continue to be funded at this enhanced level or not. But we want to make the most of the funding that we've got. So I do think that our state, we're at a crucial time where we can look at our early childhood system, how we are looking at quality in early childhood, make some of those improvements, strengthen that system where we can. Early childhood quality is more than just the classroom. It's more than just that. There's a whole other, it's access to other services, developmental screenings, early intervention, access to healthcare. All of these are essential components of a good quality early childhood system. So we need to be looking at, at all of these pieces. Another thing that's really crucial as we look at building our quality system is ensuring that we're giving those that are doing the work a voice. We need to make sure that as we are looking at our system, as we're making improvements, that we're bringing on board those that are actually going to be responsible, the child care providers, the early interventionists, healthcare providers, all of these that are directly serving children. We need to hear from them on what's working at their level, at what they see, what they experience. And of course, it's also crucial that we engage communities across the state. That saying, it takes what to raise a child, it takes a village. So we need to be engaging the communities, or pushing the work down to the community level, because that is where the work takes place. It's where the children live. It's where they get these services.
Well, I know you're familiar with the research that James Heckman and other economists have produced for us to say that, your biggest bang for your buck is with infants and toddlers and the youngest children. And I know for at least 40 years since I've been involved in early care and education, there seems to be a disconnect of some sort around the actual brain development of children that are extremely young, and the importance of the quality aspects that you just listed as far as how they spend their day while their parents are at work. And so I think it's very helpful for you to highlight those things so that the general public can understand that working with a young child involves a lot of disciplines. It's not just one. And the health of a child, as well as the nutrition that they receive and the interaction, all of those play into that child's readiness for school when they hit 4 or 5 years of age. If you were going to have a crystal ball and say, all right, this is what I hope I could be looking at 5 years from now in our state, is there any particular thing that you would hone in on? If you could just share your dream or your vision, so that we can have a point that we can sort of shoot for.
I think at the top of my wish list would be having a workforce in early childhood that is, for lack of a better, is more stable. We have a lot of turnover in this field. A lot of early childhood providers, they're doing the best they can with the resources that they have. And in some ways, we're serving them well with professional development and resources, but we can do a better job of that. But I would like to see more investment in those that are working directly with children. And like I said, yes, primarily, my focus is childcare because that's what our office does. But I think that extends beyond just childcare. We also have some other areas where we're not, as a state, we're failing those that are working directly with children. I've mentioned early intervention again, that's just one area. Are we able to offer developmental screenings like we should? And then also the families as well. Being one of the poorest states in the nation, there are families out there. There are single moms that are greatly struggling, and I have to include them in those that are working with children, because they're, I mean, they're the primary source for well-being for their children as well. So I would like to see more investment in those that are educating our children, that are caring for our children. I think that's where our primary focus needs to be right now. And in 5 years, I would like to see how we as a state are using all of our resources, leveraging, those federal dollars in ways that we can maximize what we're doing to support those individuals.
Well, I know you're very busy, and I appreciate the time that you've given us for this conversation. And as we move through the next several months, as the funds start to roll out, as you've mentioned, then maybe you'll come back and we'll have another visit, and you can give us more information on how we're doing and what is doing as far as our growth. So thank you again, Dr. Allgood.
Thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.